am Melissa. It's really good to see you today. Thank you for stopping by and joining me today. Today is a couple days before I think Christmas. Oh my gosh. Yeah, my grief brain. Yeah. So yeah, it's 2 days before Christmas, and I wanted to do a video with you today, even though I'm not feeling good at all today. And today's not so far hasn't been the best of the day, but it's pretty early. And last night I went to bed thinking about the emotional, all my emotions that I'm dealing with in grief and with the holidays right now. And my last 6 videos, we've been discussing. I've been sharing the emotional impact of my grief, and sharing what I kind of find in other things that I read. They don't always really truly apply to me, though. It's very difficult to find reading material for parents who've lost a child. And we've lost 2 children, Noah and Sophia, to murder. Noah's 7 and Sophia's 5, 4 years ago. So, needless to say, yeah, we're depressed. And I think of it as basically like the color is gone. And I don't think as any human we escape depression in life. But the first year of Noah and Sophia's murder, I saw the world in black and white instead of all the vibrant colors that are there. Everything just seemed black and white, and in our household, there's depression. I eat, he might drink. I talk, he doesn't. We both go through the motions trying to somehow be strong for our kids, but every day is an uphill battle, brothers and sisters. Let's not be fooled by that whatsoever. And as humans, we wear masks, clothing, we're people, we're wives, mothers, sisters, and then what we are in our careers, but the color is gone. When we have to bury your children, I have no spark and no interest. And that's depression. That is depression. And I bet a lot of us can relate to that, even if you haven't had a death in your family. Depression is depression. And it is just in grief, and when it's a traumatic death and the loss of 2 innocent small children, I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to do anything. And the first 2 years, that was very, very strong, very strong. Like I just didn't want to go. It was like this heavy, wet blanket was smothering all of us. And it's the grace of God. I know it's the grace of God that got our family out of the house, that kept our church tied into us, that kept my friends and family members, seeking to help us continue to live and to see them, get out of the house to see them, But yeah, there's no sugarcoating it, brothers and sisters. I'm depressed. We're depressed. Okay? There's no sugarcoating that. There's no washing over that. Experiencing depression and grief is natural and common. Okay? Natural and common. It is natural to be depressed. Excuse me. When 2 of your children are murdered, basically right in front of your eyes, and you're a part of the trauma too, We lost 2 children, 3 really, because our oldest is the one who committed the crime, and he now is in prison for 96 years. Their absence has left a gaping hole in my heart. The first 2 years, it felt wrong to have joy in anything. The color goes out of life. We wonder if we'll ever return or if we even can. You know, especially those first 2 years, I was just wondering, can I even step back into life? You know, my eating and sleeping habits took a major hit, a major hit. And they still do. To this day, they still do. You know, some days I have zero appetite at all and cannot eat, and I have to, it's like the brain part of me has to say, you need to eat because you haven't ate all day and the body needs food to function, you know. And my sleeping, jeez, yeah, that's definitely, those habits are definitely been turned upside down. You know, I'm fatigued all the time. I mean, seriously, can you just imagine that? You know, just being fatigued all the time. And then we try to mask our fatigue at times with, like, whether it's an espresso bean or vitamin water, you know. And it gets us through the moment, gets me through my job, gets me through the chore. But there is just this fatigueness that is there, brothers and sisters. It is there, and it's always behind everything I do. That fatigue, it's just always there. It's just always there. You know, I walk around in a fog. I do. To this day, I still do. There are days where that day will be foggy to me, and I get to the end of that day, and I'm like, woo, holy moly! What did I do today? Who did I talk to today? Where did I go today? You know, I do. And there's sometimes where I forget where I'm even going and why I'm even going there. Oh my goodness, that's happened plenty of times. I'll get in the car, drive something, like, holy shit, where am I going? Why, what, why? Okay, then I'll remember where I'm going, and then my brain has to be like, well, why are you going there again? Yeah. It wasn't like that before. My brain wasn't like this before. It wasn't. It was not like this before Noah and Sophia were killed. It wasn't. You know. I wonder continually about questions that I'll probably never know the answers to. I slip back, or sometimes even deeper, into addictions or unhealthy habits. You know, smoking, chain smoking. You know, smoking one too many cigarettes in the day. You get to the end of the day and you're just like, whew, your lungs feel it, your throat feels it, your body feels it. You feel like, you know what, I think I smoked more cigarettes today than I ate a meal. Yeah, that's depression, friends. That is my depression and my grief. Excuse me. I withdraw from the world and people, and I do that very frequently. So those of you, if you wonder why one day you see me on Instagram and then you don't see me for 6 days later, that's why. Same with the YouTube and the Facebook. You know, it's all of it. You know, I feel alone, you know, no matter where I'm at or who I'm around, I feel alone. There are there are parts of me, brothers and sisters, that are starved for fun. Especially when I look at my own children, my two teenagers still at home, other children, you know, I'm starved for fun, but you end up feeling terribly guilty about having any. Yeah. Yeah. Excuse me, brothers and sisters. I slug through each day like I'm basically knee deep in mud. Oh my goodness, especially those first 2 years. Especially those first 2 years. Motivation, that just totally disappeared. You know, motivation has disappeared. You know. Forgive me, I write my stuff down because my brain, you know. Oh yeah, even brushing my teeth is an emotional chore. It is. It is in grief. You know why? Because even the simplest thing like brushing my teeth reminds me of my routine with my Noah and Sophia. And it reminds me of the morning and evening routines of brushing our teeth. And then floods of memories just come rushing in, you know. of, Mom, where's my toothbrush? Or, Mom, I'm out of toothpaste. Or, Mom, I need a towel. All those things. They just all just come rushing. So even the simplest routines of my life that us parents take for granted, that we do every single day with our children, then our children grow out of them and they start doing them on their own, and you're no longer a part of the teeth brushing routine. Putting on shoes and coats. They do it all themselves. My teenagers sure do. So it changes. But when you're cruelly, very cruelly, it is snatched away from you, stolen from you, it's a gaping hole in my heart, and even the littlest routines, like brushing my teeth, is an emotional task. So I know it is difficult for people like my own boss and people around me that have not truly entered my grief. They can't figure this thing out for nothing. They cannot figure it out why it's even emotional for me to put on my coat and go somewhere, for me to brush my teeth, for me to put lotion on. Some lotions remind me so much of my children. And Sophia, being here, we live, here where we live in Colorado with the sun, needing to wear sunscreen to preschool and kindergarten, and just the smell of that. So summertime, smelling sunscreen, it reminds me of my morning routine with my Sophia. Yeah. And those of us who still have our children that are still alive, we're so caught up in the mundaneness of that everyday life that we take it for granted. And we even become very irritable over the task and the chore of teeth brushing with our kids. Yeah, I'd give anything to have that back, brothers and sisters. Yeah. I want to encourage you, young parents or parents of small kids. It goes quick, which you've already heard. You're not hearing nothing new from me, but it really does. I look at my teenagers and I'm like, wow, how did that happen? And God forbid, murder happens to your family, traumatic death, and you lose your children. Oh, those smallest of those routines, some of the most irritablest and annoyingest, I just made that word up maybe, of routines or chores with your small kids, they become the most treasures of your heart because you realize that was a chore, that was a task that I did every day with that child. Every day. Every day. I sigh a lot. Just like, I do that more in grief than I ever have in my life. It's painful. Utterly painful without Noah, without Sophia. Utterly painful. So, with all of this, plus the daily relentless assault of these unpredictable emotions. Because you can't predict them. You really can't. You're not sure how you're going to feel. You might sometimes anticipate, depending on what your task for the day is or where you need to go or do. But for the most part, they're very unpredictable. And they're relentless. And I use the word assault because that's how I feel. I feel assaulted by them. They're definitely not ones I choose. Don't want to be in them, but they hit me. They hit me, Yeah. So it's not surprising, that symptoms of depression can overtake me, for a period of time, for years, months, weeks, days at a time, Life without Noah and Sophia is depressing. It's depressing. It's depressing without my parents, too. Doubly, triply, quadruply so without Noah and Fifi. So no frickin' wonder I feel this way. And it's only as I write these things out and then read it back that I'm able to say a sentence like that. That I can say, oh, well, no wonder I feel this way. But when you're experiencing all of that, it is just what it is. And you know what? Feelings aren't bad. They just are. They just are. And they're my feelings. They're your feelings. This is your grief, your loss, my loss. And we share the loss together too with some of those. I would love to hear more. Yeah, like we can talk about Noah and Sophia. We can talk about them. I want to hear their names more, and I want others to remember that to talk about them. We do. As grieving parents, we really do. Because it just pains us terribly for us all to be sitting around there acting like the elephant in the room's not there. The pain and the loss is not just plopped itself right down there in the middle of us. So, most depression is temporary, guys, and it comes and it goes. I experience it for periods of time, like from hours to days, weeks at a time. When my depression strikes me in this fourth year, this last year, I've been experiencing so deeply, and you know what? And I have throughout all of these years of the grief, the 4 years, but I'm able to put it better into words this year that Jesus has so tenderly giving me himself. And his spirit helps me get out among people. And that's it, friends. That's it. It's not me. It's not like me, So whether it's a movie, church, restaurant, grocery store, whatever, my work, I definitely think of volunteering, to serve in honor of Noah and Sophia at their elementary school, but that's about as far as the thought gets. The thought comes and then it goes. Excuse me. My fear of that building, the hallways, their friends who are growing up. Noah would be in the 6th grade this school year, middle school. It's too painful, friends. It's too painful. I can't deal. I can't deal. I cannot deal. I just can't deal, What I've been experiencing in my grief